A lot of people think the Belgian countryside is flat and ordinary, but it certainly isn't here, because this is the glorious Ardennes countryside. Lots of hills and gradients, and here in this situation is one of the finest circuits in the world. 4.3 miles long, it includes a lot of gradient, hairpin bends, flat-out straights, just about every kind of going. It is extremely demanding, and round 3 of the World Championship here is going to be something truly to watch. And at the moment, that World Championship is led by Nigel Mansell, just 1 point ahead of the reigning World Champion Alain Prost, with Stefan Johansson in 3rd position. The subject on everybody's lips here at Spa is tyres, and the reason is quite simple. Because of the total unpredictability of the weather, you never know here whether it's going to be wet or dry. A big decision may have to be made during the race to change either from slicks to wets or from wets to slicks. And that decision could well decide the race. In fact, during practice here, believe it or not, conditions have gone from dry to damp to soaking wet to hail and then back to damp again. Well, we've all got problems in life, but René Arnoux has got a very particular problem here, and that is he's having to get used to driving again. You see, he's just been banned from driving on the road in France because he was caught at, believe it or not, 151 miles an hour. But that hasn't stopped him from racing here at Spa. It's easy, you know, to forget that there are actually 2 classes in Grand Prix racing these days, the turbos and the non-turbo 3.5-litre cars. In fact, Ralph Bellamy, the man who designed the new Lola, seems quite optimistic.
No, I don't think it'll be a disadvantage at all if the race is held under these sort of conditions, because the turbo cars have an excess of power which they can't use, whereas we can certainly use all the power that we have.
You've heard me talking a lot about the pits to car and car to pits radio. Listen to this, Ayrton Senna talking from the car at racing speed.
We go for it. Only this pit here is wet, all the rest is dry, but it's coming some light rain. I can feel it, so we have to go for it.
I've already told them, Ayrton. More important, Prost has just left the pits with dry tyres.
Okay, but it's very dangerous at the moment. Dry tyres is very dangerous. Around the pit area, down the hill at the quick gases, it's very, very dangerous. Too much water and also oil.
The Belgian Grand Prix certainly started with incident. Unlike last year, all the front men got away well and round La Source without any mishaps. But behind them, there were problems as drivers bumped into each other, notably Thierry Boutsen in the Benetton and Andrea de Cesaris in the Brabham, who had a puncture. But on lap 2, something far worse happened. Philippe Streiff spun his Tyrrell and Jonathan Palmer hit him trying to avoid the Frenchman. The engine was torn off Palmer's Tyrrell, and as far as we know, both drivers are perfectly okay, and incidentally, the Frenchman Philippe Alliot sportingly stopped his Lola to make sure that they were both all right, and it was immediately after that, not surprisingly, the race was stopped. And when the restart happens, Thierry Boutsen will be in his spare car, so will Gerhard Berger, Andrea de Cesaris in the Brabham, and Philippe Streiff in the spare, which means to say that Jonathan Palmer will not be getting a restart. So it's Nigel Mansell in pole position with a really impressive time of 1 minute 52 seconds, which is 2.3 seconds faster than last year's pole time, despite reduced boost and race tyres. Second on the grid, it's ex-world champion Nelson Piquet. Third, Ayrton Senna in the Lotus Honda. Fourth, the first of the 2 Ferraris, Gerhard Berger. Fifth, his teammate, Michele Alboreto. Sixth, the danger man for all of them, world champion Alain Prost. who was fastest in the warm-up this morning. In 7th position, it's Thierry Boutsen, ahead of Patrese 8th, Fabi 9th, Johansson 10th, Eddie Cheever is 11th, and 12th on the grid, the second British driver, Derek Warwick. Martin Brundle is in 18th place, and the fastest 3.5-litre car is the march of Ivan Capelli. On the left of your picture, pole position, Nigel Mansell. To the right in the front row, Nelson Piquet. Behind Mansell is Ayrton Senna. Behind Piquet is Berger, and it's the second time for go. Up to La Source, and again, Senna sprints through past both of them. And the Brazilian leads this time with Nigel Mansell in 2nd place, one of the Ferraris, and I think it was Berger in 3rd position. Down to 4th place goes Piquet. Down towards Eau Rouge, and it's Senna, Mansell, Piquet, Alboreto and Prost up to 5th.
Now, there was a bit of bumping at the back of the field then. I couldn't see who they were, but a lump of car was flying around in the track, so right down at the back there was a bit of bumping and boring.
Streiff, however, is on his way up the climb after Eau Rouge towards Le Radaillon, up to the highest part of the course, Les Combes, which they approach at some 200 miles an hour. Senna leading, Mansell catching him, Piquet is 3rd, Alboreto in the Ferrari is in 4th place, and behind Alboreto in 5th place, world champion Alain Prost, who won in Brazil, 2nd in the championship. Ayrton Senna in the active suspension Lotus Honda. The Brazilian won here in 1985.
Yes, tremendous start by Ayrton Senna. He went for the same free stuff on the inside. The wheels are digging in. He's not going to be able to move, and that is naughty because Senna, I would say, was definitely the culprit there, and he took Nigel Mansell out of the race.
And look at this replay,
which he certainly had with mistakes at several races, and now he's done it again, and that's very, very bad luck for Nigel Mansell. Now Prost is up into 3rd place.
Mansell is back in the race. Nigel Mansell has rejoined, and it looks to me as though his car is perfectly okay. There's no reason why it shouldn't have been. He spun off into some loose stuff and has managed to get going again, whereas Ayrton Senna, with his rear wheel scrabbling for grip, clearly was not able to do so. And there is Ayrton Senna retiring from the Belgian Grand Prix. Bitter gall for him. Nigel Mansell will probably think after the race that that's what the Brazilians deserve. And let us recap the position then. With 1 lap completed, Nelson Piquet leads, Alboreto 2nd, Prost 3rd, Boutsen is in 4th place, followed by Berger 5th, Fabi is 6th, and Patrese is 7th. In 8th position, it is Stefan Johansson, 9th Cheever, and 10th Warwick, and sparks flying and a Ferrari blowing. That's Gerhard Berger's car, the spare car of Gerhard Berger, out at the conclusion of the 2nd lap, with obviously a blown engine or a blown turbo. There is Teo Fabi in 5th place. That is Patrese in 6th position. Into the pits with the back of the car aflame comes Gerhard Berger. The Belgian Grand Prix full of incidents. This is the 2nd start of the race. We are now into lap 3 with Nelson Piquet leading by some 1.2 seconds as he drags up to Les Combes. There's the Scarlet Ferrari of Alboreto, who won the last Grand Prix for Ferrari in Germany in 1985. And if Ferrari do not win here in Belgium, it will be the longest starvation of race wins they've ever had. Nelson Piquet leading in the Williams Honda, Nigel Mansell last in the Williams Honda, grimly determined to close the gap and at least try to get up to 6th position and 1 World Championship point, because don't forget that the Englishman is the World Championship leader. On the right of your picture, with Gordon Kimball on the left, Gerhard Berger unhappily out of his 3rd race for Ferrari. And there is Nigel Mansell, definitely, obviously, closing the gap between himself and the tail-enders in front of him, and very soon he will be amongst them and scything his way through into the midfield places. He's 21st at the moment. They're coming up to the bus stop now, which is 2nd gear going in, 3rd on this little straight. Then they're up into 4th gear, up into 5th immediately to complete now the 6th lap. And there is Piquet into La Source, followed by Alboreto's Ferrari, then Prost, and Fabi is ahead of Boutsen now. Theo Fabi has moved up into 4th place ahead of the Belgian Thierry Boutsen, both in Benettons, and Stefan Johansson is right with both of them. And there are 8.9 seconds between Piquet, the leader, and Johansson in 6th position, with Cesaris in 7th place, Cheever 8th, Warwick is in 9th position, René Arnoux goes through 10th, and there are the two very distinctively coloured Benettons, and Johansson going through and taking Boutsen, is he? Yes, Stefan Johansson, the Swedish driver, much loved by the British, and he's known as Steve Johnson because of that. In the McLaren with its TAG engine, it's only his 3rd race, he's still getting used to it. Second fastest in the warm-up today, moves up a place into 5th position behind Fabi. Derek Warwick coming into the pits on the 9th lap out of 43, and it looks to me as though he is shaping up to retire. And what a scrap at the front.
Still, Prost not quite close enough. He's a little bit, though, just can't get through Eau Rouge fast enough. But look how fast he is on the straight, and he's got it. And I think he must have turned his boost up then, because he seemed to be an even bigger speed advantage down the straight. So Alain Prost moves into second place. No, that was because Alboreto slowed down. So Alboreto is out of the race with mechanical trouble of some sort. And Prost will be quite happy about that, because he really was having a struggle to get by him.
And now on lap 10, Nelson Piquet is leading Alain Prost by about 1.5 seconds. There is the Frenchman, hopefully on his way to his 2nd Grand Prix victory here at Belgium from his point of view. In 3rd position is Fabi, 4th is Johansson, 5th is Boutsen. There is Derek Warwick still in the pits. 6th now, and in the points is De Cesaris. Up to 7th comes Eddie Cheever. 8th is René Arnoux, and that is the hapless Michele Alboreto walking in. And now Ferrari have broken their record, and not the one they want to have. This is their 26th race without a Grand Prix win, and unfortunately that creates a new record for them. Now, where is Nelson Piquet? And here, coming up to the right-hander at Les Combes, with the crowd wildly waving, the Belgian crowd waving the Frenchman Alain Prost in the McLaren-TAG, and no sign of Nelson Piquet around the circuit.
That's right, when we picked Prost up at the bus stop, Piquet had already disappeared, so we didn't see what happened to him. Hopefully if he's parked out on the circuit, we'll get a glimpse of his car as we follow the lap round. And this looks like a Williams to me. Is this Nelson Piquet? It is, and that's Nelson Piquet. So Piquet has had some sort of trouble, but he took an awfully long time. Maybe he's had a spin and taken time to get going again.
Hopefully we'll see as Mansell comes into the pits as well. This is an amazing development. Nigel Mansell taking a tyre stop very early on lap 11, probably as a result of going off when he came together with Senna. And Piquet, of course, is Piquet going out of the race? No, he's just being moved up to a position where the mechanics can work conveniently on the car. And Piquet looking behind his balaclava helmet and inside his crash helmet. Pretty gloomy about the whole thing. Again, then, the leaders. We are on lap 12 with Prost leading Fabi's Benetton by 2.2 seconds. Johansson is 5 seconds behind the leader in 3rd place. 4th is Boutsen, 11 seconds behind Prost. 5th now is Andrea De Cesaris, but nearly half a minute behind the leader. In 6th position, the Arrows Megatron of Eddie Cheever, 40 seconds behind Prost. And in 7th position, it's René Arnoux. Martin Brundle, who finished 5th at San Marino in the Zach Speed, is now up into 8th place in the new car. Nakajima, the Japanese driver in the Lotus Honda, is 9th. In 10th position is Pier Carlo Ghinzani in the second of the Ligier Megatrons. Capelli is leading the 3.5 litre race in 11th place, followed by Alio in the Lola 12th, and Nigel Mansell is 13th. That is Thierry Boutsen, whose record in Belgium has been absolutely terrible through no fault of his own in Grand Prix racing, because the car he was in before was not competitive. The Belgian that we're looking at now has always been regarded by many people as one of the best potential Grand Prix drivers of the year, and he is now starting to prove it. But here is the limping Williams Honda of Nelson Piquet, and all this shows how unpredictable Grand Prix racing is. Nigel Mansell started from pole position. Nelson Piquet there, number 6, started second on the grid. Then Nigel Mansell was almost immediately taken out by Senna, who has retired, and now Nelson Piquet on lap 15 looks to me to be making his way back to the pits to retire, but in any case must surely be out of the running altogether. And there is a big battle going on down the field, because Martin Brundle and Nakajima are very close together. Martin Brundle in the Zach Speed and Nakajima in the Lotus Honda. Martin Brundle in 8th position, and Brundle's not so very far behind René Arnoux as you look at race leader Alain Prost, this incredible Frenchman who has been world champion twice, has won 26 Grand Prix, only one less than Jackie Stewart. And if he wins here today, it will equal Jackie Stewart's record, and Jackie is here possibly to see that happen. I was talking to him about it, and he said, well, never mind, I've had the record a very long time, and in fact I've had the record longer than it took me to get it, and that takes some thinking about. There's Prost in the McLaren, leading Theo Fabi, Johansson in 3rd. The gap between the two of them is about 3 seconds, and Ivan Capelli is out of the race in the Leighton House 3.5 litre March with its Ford DFZ engine, and he's had a really fraught Belgian Grand Prix day, because he had to get going in the spare car after his race car let him down on the parade lap, and indeed he was destined not to finish the race anyway, because the spare car only holds 100 litres of fuel and is really regarded as a training car, a practice car. So Capelli couldn't have expected to finish, but at least he had the consolation of leading the 3.5 litre class and the battle for the Jim Clark Trophy, which is the equivalent of the World Championship for Drivers Award in the 3.5 litre class. There's the gap, 9.5 seconds now between Prost, who really can stroke it home to victory, and he's not going to take any chances. Very, very mature, of course. This is his 108th Grand Prix, and we're with Nakajima now. This is the first time that we've been in the camera car. He's plunging down to Eau Rouge at about 160 miles an hour, and the car going over the crest in front of him is the 8th place Zach Speed of Martin Brundle. Now he's doing nearly 200 miles an hour. I'll say that again, 200 miles an hour. There's Martin Brundle. He's lost the nose cone of his Zach Speed. Behind him is Nakajima, who is closing up all the time on the Englishman in the German car, as Alain Prost is on now his 17th lap.
And he's pulling away from Theo Fabi at some 2 seconds a lap at the moment. The lead up to nearly 12 seconds, and Prost comfortably the fastest man on the circuit. His last lap was a 1:58.6, and pretty much everybody else is struggling to get under 2 minutes. Stefan Johansson in the other McLaren is in the 59 as he chases Theo Fabi. Johansson now challenging Fabi for second place and making it. Down the inside, just out breaking him down the hill there. So it looks very much like a demonstration run from McLaren if they don't have any mechanical problems.
On this, now the 17th lap. Alain Prost with Johansson in the McLaren in second place. Farby down to third. Boutsen in fourth place. De Cesaris fifth. Cheever is in sixth position. Boutsen in the pits. And it looks like a terminal brake problem. The right rear disc brake is obviously grossly overheating, and there he is waiting for something to happen.
Yes, I have a feeling that Theo Fabi might be in the similar sort of brake trouble, because, and into the pits, it's Alain Prost coming in, hopefully just for his tyre change. Lap 17, pretty much when we expected to, or lap 18 to be exact, as he crosses the line there. So Prost, the first one in for the routine tyre change, as Stefan Johansson now just edges past him into the lead, and Prost is going to come out right behind Fabi. In fact, I think he got out just in front, but he'll be on cold tyres. It'll be interesting to see now if Johansson attempts to pass him. The tyres are, of course, artificially heated before they're put on. They're wrapped up in electric sort of eiderdowns to heat them up. But Prost will be anxious to stay in front of Johansson. Johansson, on the other hand, no, he's staying behind his boss, his team leader.
That is Martin Brundle in the pits to change tyres on the Zach Speed. And the race order then is Prost on his 20th lap now, as are Johansson and Farby, second and third. De Cesaris in fourth place, 35 seconds behind Prost. Then there is a long, long gap before we wait for the fifth place man to come through, and that is Eddie Cheever now. And in sixth position, it is René Arnoux, as Boutsen is being retired. And a lot of activity down there in the pits. It's Stefan Johansson into the pits, the man who was in second place. And that means, of course, that Alain Prost, race leader, here he is, having lapped Brundle and Alio as Johansson exits the pits. It means to say that the lead now by Alain Prost has been massively increased. And the race is run for Martin Brundle, fifth at San Marino. He had a lot of problems here in the Zach Speed, and he is now out of the race.
The view from Nakajima's car. Nakajima not really holding a very good line, and that's probably why he's a great deal slower than teammate Ayrton Senna.
Well, nevertheless, the incredible Nakajima is in sixth place. I say incredible because this is the Japanese driver's first full Grand Prix season, and he's got Alain Prost trying to saw the Lotus in half now with the nose cone of the McLaren. Now, hopefully, if we stay with Nakajima as the producer, there goes Prost. That was what I was hoping for. They go into the right-hander at La Source, the slowest corner on the course, and look at the way world champion Alain Prost in the lead pulls away from the powerful Lotus Honda of Satoru Nakajima, who is in sixth place. As into the pits comes Eddie Cheever in the Arrows Megatron, who was in fifth position. Sixth behind Eddie Cheever. There was a battle between Ginzani and Nakajima, but there is the Benetton Ford of third place man Theo Fabi, and the race is getting very spread out indeed. And it looks to me very much as though Nigel Mansell is out of the Belgian Grand Prix. He is now 5 laps drift, and no sign of him for a long time on our lap chart. And that's Thierry Boutsen in the background. This is the real excitement in the 11 cars that are left. Andrea De Cesaris chasing the misfiring Benetton Ford of Theo Fabi up to the bus stop. De Cesaris is going to go through before the bus stop, I think. To take third position, he pulls out, nips through on the inside, denies the line to Fabi, takes third position. Race order now as they come up to complete their 31st first lap, with Prost and Johansson having already done so. The two McLarens lead. Alain Prost, world champion. Stefan Johansson, first year in the McLaren team, second, 35 seconds behind Prost. De Cesaris now up into third position ahead of Fabi fourth. Jiva fifth. Nakajima sixth and Arnoux seventh. As you look at the replay of De Cesaris dipping through and taking the Benetton forward.
And he's now slowing it right down, Prost. He's dropped 4 seconds off his, or 5 seconds off his fastest lap of the race now, and letting Johansson catch him up a little bit, but that won't bother him at all, even if Johansson gets right to him. So it's just nursing the car home.
And there is the Benetton of Teo Fabi. Not unexpected, because you heard from both James and I that it was misfiring badly. Of René Arnoux' Ligier with its BMW-inspired Megatron engine, and Prost now on his 39th lap. And there goes the spin, and that is Philippe Alliot in the Lola, but he's recovered magnificently, and now Alliot has been passed by Ghinzani. Ghinzani goes up into 7th place by passing Ghinzani, who had laboriously caught the Italian, and there is Alain Prost motoring interestedly along behind them. He probably just missed that, concentrating on his own racing line. Well, he literally did just miss it, as you saw from the replay.
Yes, that was could have been the most unfortunate way to finish this race, and that was very close indeed. And Prost serenely on, no problem at all. He's come zapping some 5 seconds, so he's capable, and there is Alliot.
You can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to get the rear wheels off the curbing, but how on earth he thinks he's going to restart it again, I can't imagine. And now Alain Prost has completed 42 laps. You are looking at the finest driver of the day without a shadow of doubt. You are seeing history made now, because Alain Prost, number one, will equal the all-time Grand Prix wins record of Jackie Stewart, 27 wins.
Yes, Alain Prost, I think one can reasonably say the finest driver of the era, completely, and well, it's been a pretty easy day's work for him, really. He took it as he usually does, no desperate rush at the start. He got away the early laps in third place, took his time getting past Michele Alboretto's Ferrari, and then really it was all planted in his lap, with Michele Alboretto going out, and he's been in extremely comfortable shape ever since about lap 15. So Prost still doing the job, no mistakes, keeping it absolutely perfect. Johansson supporting him and ably demonstrating just how good the McLaren car is, with a comfortable second place, so 1-2 maximum points for the McLaren team, and let's hope the others can get their act together a little bit better, because nice though it is for McLarens, we want to see close racing, we want to see hard fighting racing, and it really hasn't been too exciting that day.
And in the process moves into the lead of the 1987 World Championship. He will add 9 points to the 9 he already has, 18 points. That will give him a conclusive lead. He exits the bus stop for the last time. He goes past the pits for the last time, closes up on Streiff, who will still have to do a lap because he has not gone the full distance. Alain Prost, the winner then of the Belgian Grand Prix. Second, Stefan Johansson. Third, Andrea De Cesaris. In fourth place, Eddie Cheever. fifth, Satoru Nakajima, and in sixth position, René Arnoux. And that means to say that Alain Prost now leads the World Championship from his teammate, Stefan Johansson. Down to third place goes Nigel Mansell. Fourth, equal, Ayrton Senna and Nelson Piquet. And in sixth position, tying Michele Alboreto and De Cesaris. McLaren are now a long way ahead in the Constructors' Championship, with Williams second, Lotus third, and Ferrari in fourth place. And in the pit lane after the race, stories are circulating of an infuriated Nigel Mansell violently accosting Ayrton Senna. With Senna refusing to comment, it can only be said that this was a very sad ending to something which, regrettably, is often unavoidable in the cut and thrust of Grand Prix racing.
Now, last year you were taken off at the first corner. Did you have any feelings of worry when you approached it this year?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried, especially the second start, because I was obliged to go on the grass on the left side because Berger missed the start a little bit, and I had a big oversteer for the first corner. But as soon as I get the first corner, I was very confident. Because
you went past Nelson Piquet into the lead, and you stayed there. What were your tactics once you got there?
I had no special tactic except that you probably know that my car is not maybe the quickest the first few laps. We know why, but I will never tell you why. And in fact, the tactic was to stay behind them, and I was not far behind. I've tried many times to overtake Michele, not very hard, but he was waving a little bit, so I was waiting behind them. I had no problem. The tactic was to win the race. That's the only tactic.
You've now joined Jackie Stewart at the top of the league, and you've won 27 Grand Prix. Is Monaco going to be the 28th?
I hope so, because it will be the best place to win the 28th Grand Prix, because that will be my fourth consecutive win in Monaco. But having an objective like that on only one race is not realistic, and it's not good. I think it's too risky, and especially this year the race will be very dangerous, maybe the most dangerous race in Monaco we've never had before.
Points in all three races this year. You are now second in the World Championship. Do you think you've got used to the car after driving the Ferrari for 2 years?
Well, it didn't take very long to get used to that aspect. I mean, I'm still getting used a little bit to work with everybody in the team and so on, but it's getting better and better every race, and I feel now that I'm much more into the program than I was certainly in Brazil and also in Imola.
Your feelings about Monaco?
Well, it's never been very good for me before, and I don't really have very much experience with Monaco, but I think...
Alain says you live there.
Apart from that, I live there. I hope this year is going to be a lot better, though.
Well, next time is the Monaco Grand Prix, so we'll see how Stefan Johansson does in 2 weeks' time. Join us to watch what is often the most dramatic race of the year on Grand Prix.